Our story begins in a forgotten corner of the Appalachians, in a small, hollowed-out town called Blackwood Creek. It's the kind of place where secrets are buried deeper than the coal seams, and every family has a ghost in its closet. The Holloway family was no different. They were a sprawling family, a father, a mother, and 5 daughters. After years of praying, they were finally blessed with a son, Caleb. Caleb was the light of their lives, the answer to their prayers. But he was born under a dark star, with a spirit as fragile as a dried leaf. The old midwife had warned them. "There's a shadow clinging to this one," she'd said, her voice a low rattle. "He walks a path that brushes against the other side." To protect him, his mother had a charm made by a faith healer from deep in the mountains. A small leather pouch filled with salt and whispered words hung around Caleb's neck. For a time it seemed to work. Caleb grew, and a strange gift grew with him. He was a brilliant child. Anything he read, any lesson he was taught, became etched into his mind forever. He was a scholar in the making, a prodigy, born in a town that had forgotten what progress looked like. Then, when Caleb was 15, the world fell apart. His father suffered a terrible accident at the lumber mill, an accident that crippled him and bled the family's finances dry. For 5 years, the house was filled with the silence of a man who couldn't work and the quiet desperation of a family on the edge. Long, his mother, a proud woman, started cleaning houses and delivering meals, her hands raw and her eyes hollow. The real horror began on Caleb's 18th birthday. One afternoon, his younger sister Abigail was watching television. The volume turned up just a little too loud. Caleb walked into the room. "Turn it down," he said, his voice flat. Abigail, barely looking up, replied, "I'm just watching a show, Caleb. What's the big deal?" What happened next was unthinkable. Caleb lunged at her. He started hitting her, over and over, his face a mask of pure, cold fury. The other sisters ran in, screaming, pulling him off her as she sobbed on the floor. When their mother rushed in, Caleb instantly became calm. He just stood there, staring at her. "What are you doing?" she cried, her voice trembling. "I don't feel well," Caleb mumbled, his eyes downcast. "My stomach, it hurts so much. I asked her to turn it off, and she wouldn't listen." The sisters thought he was just making excuses to avoid a scolding. They were wrong. 2 days later, it happened again. The sisters were home alone when a blood-curdling scream echoed from Caleb's room. They burst in to find him sitting calmly on his bed. His sweatpants, from the knee down, were charred and smoldering, fused to his skin. His legs were burned, but the bedsheets beneath him, they were completely untouched. And there, lying next to him on the pristine white sheet, was a folded piece of paper. His mother, who couldn't read, had one of the daughters read it aloud, her voice shaking. "My name is Silas," it read. "I am from the bayous of Louisiana. When I was 18, my own brother murdered me over a plot of land. I have been inside this boy's body since he was 5 years old." The note continued, "I mean him no harm. I only want revenge against my brother. Now that you have read this, you must burn this paper. Burn every last speck of it. If you don't, your son will go to sleep tonight, and he will never wake up." They scrambled to the gas stove, their hands trembling as they lit the note. A small corner of the paper fell away, unburnt. Caleb suddenly screamed in agony from the other room. "Burn it, burn all of it. It's burning me." They frantically relit the last scrap until nothing but ash remained. Only then did Caleb fall silent. His mother was frantic. The protective charm, the one he'd worn his whole life. How could this have happened? She went back to the old faith healer, who just shook her head. "The charm I gave you was strong," the old woman whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "If something got past it, then it is a power far beyond my own. There is a woman, an old granny woman they call Miss Evangeline, who lives up past the Forgotten Hollows. Perhaps she can help you, but I warn you, she deals with things that God himself has turned his back on." During this time, Caleb became a stranger. The entity inside him, Silas, began to speak through him more and more. One day, his mother, in desperation, tried to sprinkle holy water on him. Caleb's hand shot out like a viper, slapping the bottle from her hand and shattering it against the wall. His voice when he spoke was not his own. It was a low guttural snarl. "Did you really think that would work? I have made my home in this body for 13 years. You cannot evict me. Bring whoever you want. Bring your healers, your priests. I am not leaving." The family was terrified. They called Caleb's childhood friend Jesse.
Jesse had been on a family outing with them years ago when the boys were only 5, but even Jesse couldn't get through to him. Following the old healer's advice, they reached out to the mysterious Miss Evangeline. Her instructions came back through a letter, delivered by a boy from the mountains. Ask the boy which of his sisters he loves the most. When they asked him, Caleb or perhaps Silas pointed a finger without hesitation at his oldest sister, Alara. Alara, he said, his voice soft for the first time in weeks. She has always taken care of me. Mark that. Remember that. Miss Evangeline agreed to come, but with a chilling condition. When I arrive, the boy must not be in the house. If he is, he will do something to stop me, and I will not be responsible for what happens to my own soul. They devised a plan to take Caleb to his friend Jesse's house, luring him with the promise of watching old movies on a VCR. With Caleb gone, the old woman arrived. Miss Evangeline was ancient, her skin like wrinkled parchment, her eyes holding an unnerving clarity. She walked through the house once and then turned to the family. This spirit is powerful, she stated, her voice raspy. It wants to take your son, but there is a way to save him. She looked at Caleb's mother, then at Alara. The spirit loves Alara. Only she can be the key to his salvation. The plan was a ritual, a horrifying 3-day ordeal. They had to bring Caleb to her, sedated. The eldest sister, a nurse, managed to get a powerful sedative, and they brought Caleb to Miss Evangeline's secluded cabin in a state of unconsciousness. There they laid him in the center of a chalk circle. Miss Evangeline lit incense sticks around him. Her instructions to Alara were simple, but brutal. You will not sleep for 3 days and 3 nights, the old woman commanded. You will watch these incense sticks. The moment one is about to burn out, you will replace it. The smoke must never stop, not for a second. I will do the rest. While the ritual was performed, Alara was sent out of the room. It was then that Miss Evangeline spoke to the parents in hushed, desperate tones. It was then that the true bargain was struck, a bargain they kept hidden from their own daughters. After 3 days, the ritual was complete. They were to take Caleb to an old, abandoned chapel deep in the woods for the final step. The entity will fight back on the way, Miss Evangeline warned a weary, sleep-deprived Alara. It will try to take over. You must hold his hand and keep telling him, I'm here with you, brother. I'm right here. Don't be afraid. Just as she predicted, on the path to the chapel, Caleb began to thrash and scream in that horrible alien voice. Where are you taking me? I won't go. Alara, her body weak but her voice steady, grabbed his hand. I'm here, Caleb, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. I'm with you. It's okay. Instantly, the struggling stopped. He looked at her, and for a moment it was Caleb again. He just walked silently beside her. At the chapel, Miss Evangeline sat Alara down. Caleb was calm, standing beside her. Your brother can be saved, child, the old woman said, her voice strangely soft. But you must make a vow, a promise to the spirit that holds him. Alara looked at her brother, her heart breaking. Anything, she choked out. Miss Evangeline's eyes bored into her. To save him, you must promise that you will never marry. You will belong to no one else. She was just a girl. What did she know of marriage, of a future? All she saw was her brother, trapped in a nightmare. I promise, she said without a second's hesitation. I promise. Just save him. In that moment, a silent pact was sealed. Caleb was freed, and Alara was condemned. The story should end there, shouldn't it? A happy ending. Caleb was fine. He grew up, got married, and lived a normal life. But it wasn't the end.
Years later, the sister who told me this story couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. She asked me what I thought had really happened, and I had to tell her the truth I'd pieced together. When they asked who the boy loved most, I explained. It wasn't Caleb who answered. It was Silas, the spirit. He was the one who loved Alara. The ritual, the bargain. It was never about saving Caleb by defeating the spirit. It was a trade. The parents, in their desperation, and led by that cunning old woman, made a choice. They sacrificed their daughter to save their son. They gave Alara to the entity. She will never marry was a vow not of celibacy, but of ownership. It meant, she is yours now, and where is Alara today? She never married. Her family sent her away, shortly after the ritual, to live in a remote convent, telling the other children it was her choice, her calling. She lives a quiet, lonely life, dedicated to God. She believes she sacrificed her future for her brother's life. She has no idea that she is still bound to the entity that once tormented him. She is his, forever. Oh, and that protective charm, the one Caleb wore since he was a baby. The final horrifying piece of the puzzle came from Miss Evangeline. That spirit Silas, she had told the parents, first possessed the boy's friend Jesse during that family trip when they were 5. Through Jesse, the spirit got close to your son. It took the real charm from his neck and replaced it with a fake. Your son has been defenseless for 13 years. Somber music swells and